Okay, you guys, y'all have been asking me to do a video helping to explain modifiers better. So, this is the first video in this modifier series. And today I'm just going to go in order of the book. Today we are going to be talking about modifier 22. So, modifier 22 stands for increased procedural services that requires work substantially greater than what is typically required. The key word here is substantially. So that's this mod. I've seen this or I've used this modifier in my specialty when the provider is doing a surgery, and for instance there was a significant amount of scar tissue due to a previous surgery that the provider had to get through in order to get to the surgical site. Another situation that I've seen it used in is if we had like an extremely obese patient and the work, it took a lot more work for the provider to get to the structure that they were needed to perform the surgery on. So they would append modifier 22 to indicate that. Or if there was, like a extremely small baby and it took a lot more intricate work in detail to do surgery on that baby. So it's different situations, but the key to this modifier is that the surgeon or the provider had to do a substantially more work than what's typically required. When is it appropriate to use modifier 22? So it is appropriate to use modifier 22 again when there is a significant amount of work that you need to do. It's also appropriate to use it if you are an assistant surgeon and you are the ones performing that a significant amount of work. This is a modifier that goes on procedures only, so no E&Ms. You can append this modifier to pretty much any procedure that has a global of 0, 10, or 90 days. And it's not only used for surgeries and procedures, but it could be like, I think radiology codes. The example I have here is like 77782 CPT code. So it could be used on radiology codes as well. When is it not appropriate to use this modifier? So you do not append this modifier again to E&M services. You do not append this modifier if you happen just to call in a specialist because you needed a specialist to assist. That's not what this modifier is for. You do not append this modifier if there's a more appropriate code that can be used, such as a code that actually states that this particular surgery is complicated. So if you have a CPT code and it has a complicated CPT code that's associated with it, use the complicated CPT code instead of the modifier 22. You also do not use this modifier just to justify an increased amount of time that you spent during the surgery. That's not what this modifier is for. This modifier is for the actual physical work that you're doing, not the time component of the surgery. So with this modifier, you are going to be required to submit documentation. So an op report is going to be needed or a procedure report. So in that op report, it's best practices to indicate why the modifier 22 was used. It's not significant enough just to say see op report for modifier 22. You have to say best practices would be to say modifier 22 was built due to X, Y, and Z and give the reason as to why you use the modifier 22. And that way it will be clear to the payer why you use modifier 22, and then they can determine if that falls into their rules or their policy of the use of modifier 22. If you do not have a statement indicating why you use modifier 22 and you use a statement such as just rely on the op report or see the op report, they're going to just pay you at the regular fee schedule. They're not going to pay you for the increased work that you perform. So if you want to get credit for that, you want to get paid for that, and you need to go ahead and make sure you clearly state in your op report or your procedure note why you appended the modifier 22. Okay, so I hope this helps. The next modifier we'll talk about is going to be modifier 23. And if you are curious about that modifier, check back in a day or so and I should have that video up. Also, if you've used modifier 22, just let me know. I'm just curious. And also, if you have any questions or if something wasn't clear about this modifier, I will do my best to help you figure that out. You could just leave them in the comments, DM me, save this video, share this video, and I will talk to you soon.